What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Too Much Test Podcast, episode 39. I'm here with Sam Stolt. You can check out any of the stuff that we're involved in the links below. This episode is sponsored by thetriggeredbrand.com. Go check them out for all of your research needs. But without all the intros, what's going on, Sam? How are you doing?
Bro, it's good. It's been a while since we did one of these episodes. I decided to shave the head for anybody who's listening. I completely am bald at this point, and I have a what's it tickler? I have a mustache that is pretty 70s. How are you doing?
I feel like Sam's about to sell me some Coke and from the 70s. That's what I feel like. And I hope I didn't make that joke on the last one like a month ago.
Have I had my head shaved that long?
I don't know. I know you've had the mustache for a hot minute, though.
Yeah, I was going to shave it. And I was like, hey, babe, I think I'm going to shave this in the next couple of days. And she's like, oh, no, don't do that. And I was like, seriously? You want me to leave this, like, mustache? This kind of fucking hilarious looking on my face? And she was like, yeah, it looks good. So I was like, okay.
Variety is the spice of life. So we were just talking about a peptide that I am not very familiar with, but I have seen it mentioned. It's AOD-9064, something like that?
Yes. Okay, so this peptide is fascinating, right? So I have some stuff pulled up in the background that I'm going to kind of to review on this.
You were even saying that this would be something that I might want to research with based on my body composition.
to drop some body fat. So to give like context of what this is, if you look at something like HGH Frag, right? This is the fragment of HGH, right? HGH is a amino acid string of 190. It's a sequence of 191 amino acids. So how I think about amino acids is like, I think of a protein as like a entire of words. I think of a amino acid string as a word, as like an entire sentence, and then the individual words as peptides, right? Because we always have these fragments of like BPC, right? Is a fragment of a larger sequence of amino acids. And then that larger sequence, if it was even bigger, would be a protein. So that's where you get like the paragraph, the sentence, and the individual word. Well, HGH fragment is the tail end of HGH. So you have 191 amino acids, that's HGH. You basically take 176 to 191 portion of HGH, and that's frag HGH. Well, that I believe has increases IGF-1 levels and can affect insulin too. I don't know that's for sure, but I think it has an effect on your blood sugar levels, as well as you desensitize to frag.
So it's essentially a lot of some of the negative things about human growth hormone, I think, is what Sam's saying, and maybe not 100% the exact same. It looks like Sam's internet needs actually some PEDs. It looks like it's struggling a little over there. So I'll take over and ramble for a few minutes, but I mean, I think essentially, with the frag, it's basically like a portion of human growth hormone, so it can still cause some of the negative side effects associated with HGH. But what Sam was saying is that he was telling me is that this AOD-9064, which seems to be gaining in popularity, is very similar in how it works, if not more of a copy of the frag amino acids, but it's able to be taken orally. And Sam was saying that he believed that it did have some type of FDA something to where it's deemed generally safe. So maybe Sam could elaborate. It looks like he gave about 10 milligrams of Tren to his internet connection to get it moving and cranking up again.
Yeah. So there was definitely some issues with my internet. I've actually been thinking of switching to like Starlink, right? Like the space internet. It's more expensive, but my internet is trash. I think the best internet out here, and like the highest level internet it is straight up just garbage. Like you're at home and you're on your computer. I'm at home and I'm on my computer all day long. And you go to every little thing that it drops on, and it is straight up utter garbage here. You want to say hi?
Yeah, your internet's a little rough. That was a little jumbled. But I'll let Sam's internet recover. But essentially, what AOD-9064 is, I guess I'll go into. I know a little bit about HGH Frag, but HGH Frag is essentially, what they were looking to do is figure out what portion or what sequence of the amino acids in human growth hormone are actually responsible for helping people lose weight, burn fat. And they came up with the Frag 176 through 191. And it seems like this AOD supplement, possibly supplement peptide, kind of mimics that. And Sam had some study out of Australia where they basically banned PEDs altogether. You guys in Australia are fucked. The fact that you guys live on an island and everything has to come through a port, that kind of sucks. Like America, at least people, we can funnel shit up through Mexico. We can funnel shit down from Canada. Like we kind of got like drug dealers on both sides of
us. Because we got these giant borders on either side of the country.
Yeah, like we provide the guns, you guys provide the drugs, and we party. North America, baby, North America.
Yes. Did you, Andre? Thank you for coming here. What's up, y'all? Just wanted to say I would definitely be interested in a non-stim pump product from the Triggered brand. Andre, I would be interested in that too, and I wouldn't be interested in bringing out another stim product because I think there's enough of those out there. I would much rather have a bigger pump. So it might be in the works, but let's go back to AOD. So AOD, because my internet seems to be working okay now, is a modified version of Fragment, right? The Frag HGH, the 176, 191. So it's a tiny little peptide. It was originally developed as an anti-obesity drug due to its fat-burning properties. This peptide not only has fat-burning properties, but it also has the effect of like stopping the buildup or like the storage process. It's lipogenesis, I think it's called, of new fat, right? Which is awesome. And as TYL mentioned, it's orally bioavailable. Very high oral bioavailability, which is freaking awesome. There is no effect on IGF-1 levels, and some people in the biohacking type of community, longevity community, don't like IGF-1. Right? In the bodybuilding community, we like IGF-1. In that community, they don't because there's potentially a little bit of evidence or like one or two studies that show higher levels of IGF-1 could be associated with cancer or like death or reduced longevity, right? Well, this doesn't affect that. So I'm going to pull up this study here from Australia. So this is from a couple years ago. And then if you want to actually go through and read part of this out here, starting at the top from 2004. Obesity drug codenamed AOD-9064, highly successful in trials. So this might be something that Triggered brand carries in the future. An Australian-owned obesity drug developed by Melbourne-based biotechnology company Metabolic Pharmaceuticals Limited is set to enter final human trials next year after successfully completing phase 2B human trials, which proved that the drug induces weight loss and is very well tolerated with no evidence of the side effects commonly experienced with obesity drugs. So they not only is it effective, but they tested it at multiple different dosage here, which I find fascinating that the smaller dose was more effective. The drug which stimulates metabolism of body fat is the first of its kind in the world. All other obesity drugs artificially reduce appetite or food absorption. So we have tesofensine, which is reduction of appetite, as well as increasing metabolic rate. And then we have, what's that other one? It starts with an M, but it says GLP-1 agonist, like semaglutide.
Oh, Mounjaro.
Mounjaro, similar to semaglutide, but it has an effect on reducing one's appetite. Well, this is interesting.
The drug codenamed AOD-9604 was taken orally, which is awesome because most peptides are injection, once daily by 300 obese patients at 5 trial sites over a 12-week period. 6 dosages were given, 6 different ones. 0, so that's a placebo, 1 milligram, 5 milligram, 10 milligram, 20, and 30 milligrams. So you would think like a lot of the times these have a ramp up, meaning like 1 milligram is effective, 5 is even more effective, 10, right? Because this is how we think as Americans, right? Like the bigger the dose, the better, right?
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case. The group receiving 1 milligram dose lost the most weight, averaging a weight loss over the 12 weeks of 2.4 kilograms. What is that?
2.8 kilograms.
I'm sorry. Thank you. 2.8. What is that?
It's like 6 pounds roughly, if I had to take a Australian guess.
Right. That's pretty good. 6 pounds. More than triple the weight loss of the placebo, who lost an average of 0.8 kilograms. The rate of weight loss was maintained throughout the treatment, an encouraging trend for expectations of longer term dosing. So like another thing that is commonly seen when they do these is if you take something, say for 12 weeks or 16 weeks, the initial period, you have like a spike up in terms of effectiveness because you're stimulating your body in a new way. And then that tends to trickle down over time. And that wasn't happened. It was like the spike up and then that just held consistently throughout the 12 weeks here.
Now, when was this study done?
2004.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, it sounds like this drug, it sounds fantastic, but it didn't make it to FDA approval. But everyone's who's using it apparently seems to have a pretty good effect. So this is just one of those medicines that seems to work really well, never really seems to make it to market. But a lot of the shit that makes it to the market is fucking trash. Like Rad 140 helps with prostate stuff. BPC 157, TB5, pretty much anything that's a research chemical for the most part is something that's worked really well, but has never made it as an actual medication. So, I mean, I'd be interested to see why this didn't make it. But I mean, overall, it seems pretty damn interesting. I mean, if it's mimicking HGH Frag and it's orally bioavailable, that's
and you don't desensitize to it like you do with, that's this freaking awesome.
I'd be interested in seeing what makes this peptide orally bioavailable and to see, I'm pretty sure that if they were able to in the last 18 years figure out what made this, they would add this to other peptides to make them bioavailable. But it'd be interesting to see.
So what I was able to find was, so Frag is 176 to 191, where I believe AOD-9604 is 177 to 191. So there's a slight difference in which amino acids are in this peptide, but also then they added one additional amino acid called tyrosine. I don't know what tyrosine does, but I believe that's stuck on either end of it. And I think that has something to do with the half-life and the stability in the system, but also could have something to do with the oral bioavailability of it. Because imagine if you could just do this with Frag too.
Yeah. Imagine if you could do this with every peptide. That'd be awesome. I mean, that's pretty interesting. BPC is bioavailable. MK-677. That's a random. I'll jump in because I know you want to talk about Tesofensine as well, because that one's getting really popular, and that's supposed to be a really cool medicine. But I'm probably the heaviest I've been, and what I feel is the leanest that I've been in a while. So I got down to like roughly 211, and then I weighed myself after a party where I did eat a good amount of food, and I was 222. And now I'm back to about 217. But I've been on 250 milligrams of test, 100 milligrams of Deca, and then I've also been doing 10 milligrams of Rad 140 Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so far, that's been a pretty good stack for me. I haven't had any issues with drying out on the Rad 140 because I'm taking the 100 milligrams of Deca. So normally the Deca adds some water weight, which I do feel it has, but the Rad 140 dries you out a little bit, but I haven't gotten the dry joints or anything. And so I'm actually feeling somewhat, probably the leanest and biggest, probably the overall biggest I've been in a while.
And you've weighed more than 217 before, right?
Oh, well, I mean, you're talking about like on like, like since I've actually lost weight from being a fat ass, not on TRT.
Yes, yes.
Oh yeah. I've probably weighed in at like 225, 230. But like, I mean,
What was your heaviest? What was the most you ever weighed?
most I ever weighed that I actually weighed myself was 247.
So 247.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you're bigger now than you were at 247?
Oh, well, 247. Yeah, I was fat. That was before I even started TRT. That was just being fat. I mean, I've always been kind of a big person, big arms, big legs, but oh yeah. But yeah, I just feel like I'm the biggest I've been. And if I cut out the DECA, then I feel like I would probably drop five pounds, maybe of water weight, maybe even be a little leaner, but I don't even care.
How have you changed? So you got 250 TRT, 100 milligrams of DECA, RAD for research. Obviously, we should probably mention too that this is not a recommendation or endorsement.
No.
This is strictly for educational purposes.
Yeah.
And then you RAD 3 times a week on training days, I'm assuming, right?
Not necessarily on training days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I mean, I try to work out 5 days a week, but those are Tuesdays legs. I don't care about that. Wednesday or Thursdays shoulders. I can't be. my shoulders are still kind of jacked up, so I've been going pretty light. So those are kind of like my heavy. That's chest, back, and then traps, biceps, triceps. So those are the days I'm taking RAD. But RAD has like roughly a 60-hour half-life. So I mean, in theory, it's throughout the system. Throughout my system throughout the week. But I'm just kind of doing that. That kind of not sporadic, but not
I like that.
Consistently dosing. Saturday, Sunday.
What is your dose of RAD?
10 milligrams. Nothing crazy. I mean, I'm just using it as kind of an addition, something. I mean, I've taken RAD before every day, and, I've gotten a little bit of hair shedding from it, and it has dried me out. And toward the end of a cycle, I'd say probably like 5, 6, 7, it's given me kind of headaches. And I haven't really noticed that since just spacing it out like that, and I think it kind of goes to the less is more kind of thing, and then I'm going to completely switch it up here soon. I'm going to drop the DECA. I'm going to drop the RAD 140. I'm going to switch to MK-677 for research. And this will be my first foray into the HGH world. So never done it before. Really scared that it's going to make me hungry and I'm going to eat like a fat ass and balloon back up.
Oh, that'll be interesting. So you're going to do 20 milligrams a day? Or are you going to do a similar approach where you do like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
I think to try it out at first, I'm going to do it probably 5 days on, 2 days off. I want to see the full effect of it. More of it as an experiment, just because I've never tried it before. And I want to see how I react to it. So if I ever did want to jump to 5 days a week, I know what to expect. But I'm interested. I'm interested to see if it helps my shoulder out a little bit. I'm just interested. I mean, what would I expect? To feel a little fuller? I know sleep better. I've heard hunger is a real big one.
The hunger is not necessarily for everybody, though, because like for me on MK-677, I research with it regularly, and I have been for quite a long time, off and on, right? Maybe weeks off at a time, and then on, like 1 to 5 days a week for several weeks or months at a time, and then off again. But the hunger doesn't affect me. I remember reading a study where they did this is like older people, like 55 plus or something, and they were giving them 25 milligrams a day of MK-677, and they did it for 2 years. And wow. They noticed one in like the text in the paper, they were talking about how there was an increase in hunger for some portion of the people, but that is just a transitory thing. It wasn't like permanent. And they said that it went in the paper, they said it went down over time, where I've never really had an issue with like the hunger. So I don't think the hunger affects everybody like the same. Maybe it's you desensitized to the shit, because I've been researching with MK off and on for years and years. Like that could easily be the case. The thing that I noticed the most I don't notice any effect on sleep unless I take it at nighttime. Like a lot of times I'll take it pre-workout just because I remember to take it pre-workout. Otherwise I won't remember to take it at nighttime. But if I take it at nighttime, I definitely notice the effect on sleep, especially if I haven't taken it at night before.
Interesting.
What's going to be your goal as you utilize this during this next phase?
I think I'm looking for more of the overall like healing properties of it. I just wanted to kind of, hey, I really just want to try it. I mean, sleep wise, if I can get a little bit better sleep, listen, I'm not going to complain about that. If I can put on a little bit of muscle, not going to complain either. But for majority, I'm looking more like the healing aspect. I have a quick and easy recipe two recipes actually. One of them I've been doing, one of them that I'm going to make here later this week. So this is real simple, real easy. And actually, our old friend Dave, who used to be on this podcast, actually talked about this. So this is real simple. So I make rice in the rice cooker, right? Got your white rice, whatever rice you want. Take chicken breast, cook it either in the crock pot, oven, shred it up after it cools, shred it up. And then basically I take shredded chicken breast, add some rice to it, put a little bit of soy sauce in the bottle, and then bone broth on top and throw it in the microwave. And it's just like a soup, but the bone broth has some protein. The soy sauce has a nice little bit of kick of salt. And then you've got the rice and the chicken. And if you want to switch it out for carbs, you just put vegetables instead of the rice. And so you've got another bowl. So you can kind of bulk and lean, whichever one you want.
Oh, and is that like probably very convenient to do?
It is. I mean, literally, I pull out the tubs, chicken, rice, soy sauce, bone broth, microwave, done. So that's real easy. And then I saw another recipe that I haven't made yet that I'm going to make this week, and it looks really good. So check this out. So real simple as well. That's why I love these simple recipes. Lean ground beef. Very simple, right? Rice, brown, white, whatever. I like jasmine personally. Mix those two together. And then instead of like sour cream or anything like that, you're just going to use plain Greek yogurt. So plain Greek yogurt, add that, fat-free cheese, and then taco seasoning. And so you're kind of make like a creamy kind of like taco type thing. And you can put it on a taco if you want, or you could just eat it raw. And it sounds like it's pretty damn good.
That does actually sound really good. I've tried it with the Greek yogurt, and then it's protein on top of protein, which is delicious when you do the protein on top of protein. I've been doing a lot of the carnivore. So
I think that'll go to Sam. That'll go to this question right here. How does Sam train so light and comparing to others, but seems to build a lot of muscle? Jay Cutler is actually Sam's dad. I don't know. He's been trying to.
I'm actually really light right now. I'm like in my low 220s, which for me it feels like it's light. I'm actually increasing my calories. Although today I've had one meal, which I just felt like I was like sitting on the computer and I was like, damn, I should get more shit done. And I didn't want to get up from the computer. So I just haven't eaten today. But the carnivore diet, say like with the other day I had steak, eggs, and bacon for breakfast. Like what kind of fucking food? And if there's a perception, at least that I have always had, that red meat or like steak was expensive. But if you go to Aldi's, a steak that's around 1 pound is like $5 or $6, right? Maybe $7, depending on, somewhere between $5 and $9 or $10, depending on the cut you get, right? But a lot of times, like a cube steak or a top something or whatever round or top cut of some fucking steak is somewhere around $6-7. So I'll get those and I'll get a boatload of them and actually just stock up on them. And I feel amazing. The cravings, like for other carbohydrate rich foods, I'm not actually I don't even have those cravings anymore. Mike says, Tony Hughes said he does not take finasteride due to astride as he wants to maximize sex drive and strong erections. Is it possible to do that while on a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor? Have you ever done, I'll talk about it after you're done, but have you ever tried finasteride or dutasteride?
I haven't. I've had no reason to. Luckily, hair wise, I've never had an issue or needed to block DHT. But I mean, I think just overall, I mean, if you're blocking DHT, which is a very powerful hormone, I mean, that's part of your libido, So I mean, that'd be my guess as to why Tony said that.
I when I researched with finasteride, I did it sparingly, like how TYL is doing for the RAD 140, and I only did it maybe once or twice a week. I really didn't want to lower my DHT levels because it does play a role in sex drive and how you just feel as a man, right? Like if you kill your DHT levels, you feel a little bit less like a man, because that's where you get a lot of the aggressiveness, not aggressiveness as in like lunatic type of aggressiveness, but like the assertiveness, right? The man portion of it you feel like from DHT. Is it possible to do that while on it? I mean, my buddy who has super low testosterone has been on finasteride for quite a long time. I'm not sure how his sex drive is, but he's still with his wife.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's finasteride.
Are you?
Finasteride is kind of like a Arimidex for DHT. It kind of just blocks all that conversion systemically throughout the body. So, I mean, it's one of those interesting medicines where it's very powerful, and if you take too much of it, or if you don't react well to having low DHT, that can mess you up. I mean,
a better alternative, in my opinion, Mike, is RU-58841. It's a anti-androgen that you apply topically. So I think I have one around here somewhere, but you apply it topically and it binds to the DHT receptor. So when you take dutasteride or finasteride, those bind to the 5-alpha reductase, or they bind to the 5-alpha reductase enzyme, and basically that stops testosterone from converting to DHT. So the net effect is your serum levels, like the total amount of DHT in your body, comes down over time. Dutaesteride's a lot stronger than finasteride, but RU doesn't go systematic, meaning you apply it on your scalp and it does not reduce your DHT levels throughout your whole body. It just binds to the DHT receptors in your scalp so that DHT cannot get there. So I'm still a much bigger fan of RU-58841 than I am finasteride or dutasteride. I'm just not a fan of those in any way, shape, or form. Jay, everything. Good morning or afternoon. Keto mornings are the way to go. 100% agree. Chad, I love Chad's last name, Donnerschwanz. What's up, Chad? Vic, I'd like to get finasteride without seeing a doc. How come you guys can duplicate other stuff, but not things like that? Well, there are things that are drugs that lots of companies will sell that. So basically you can find finasteride. If you hit me up or TYL on Instagram, it's, what is it? Test Your Levels, at Test Your Levels on Instagram, or just mine is right here. We'll tell you where to find finasteride. I think. Well, you don't know where. You don't know yet. Okay, so hit me up. I can tell you where. I can tell you where to get it. I don't sell it, but there are certain things that you can that are classified as research compounds, where like the triggered band finasteride is not a research compound, so it gets into a little bit of like a. It's like selling testosterone, basically, right? Like, there's lots of dudes who do that, but it's not a category that I really want to get into. You want to read this one from Hackers? I
was gonna give one quick recipe and just a quick story. So what I've been doing is like meal prep on Sunday. Is I buy just the straight up cartons of egg whites, right? Just the pure egg whites, and I just cook. Dude, I could just cook egg whites with some this like salt, pepper, garlic seasoning. And then at the end, I sprinkle a little bit of fat-free cheese, make a whole bunch of them, and I eat them every morning. Now, here's a random story. So I was walking through Walmart. I go to grab a bottle, and I don't know, they were out of the ones I normally get. So I grabbed the other one. Same shit, right? Well, there's difference between the liquid egg whites and the egg beaters. You ever seen the egg beaters that look yellow? So I'm pouring it in there and I'm like, what the fuck? I got the wrong damn ones. No big deal. So I'm sitting there as I'm cooking them and I'm reading the ingredients on these yellow ones. Bro, the fucking ingredients are insane on there. 10 different things that I can't even read. And it's all this shit just to make the eggs look yellow, basically. But it's like literally a list of ingredients that is not necessary and is probably bad for you just in those little egg whites. So imagine how many people every day are eating those egg beaters that look yellow and with a bunch of extra chemicals in there instead of just the straight egg whites.
Wow. A lot of people, I'm sure, are completely blind to that and have no idea. That's crazy.
Too.
Damn. Who is it? I'm going to see if I can pull this video up. Carnivore MD. You've heard of him, right? I think I've mentioned him before.
Yeah, you have.
Okay. So there is a video that he put out, and I want to show you this because this is something that if you've been watching the show or listening to the show, we talk about or have brought up multiple times. Also, highly recommend checking this guy out on Instagram. Carnivore MD. He's a doctor. We're going to pull this up and listen to this.
Cholesterol guidelines are.
Let me see if I can get us.
The U.S. cholesterol guidelines are highly suspect. In 2004, the National Cholesterol Education Panel lowered the threshold for what is considered to be high cholesterol based on no new scientific data. As a result, millions more people, including someone with cholesterol numbers that look just like mine, were deemed to have high cholesterol and were eligible for recommendation of a statin medication overnight. But it gets worse. It was later discovered that 8 of the 9 members of the National Cholesterol Education Panel had financial ties to statin manufacturers. What the f? This raises some serious questions about the motivations and possible conflicts of interest of members of this committee and calls into question their decision to lower the guidelines for what is considered a high cholesterol. Statin drugs are a $15 billion industry. They're certainly indicated in some individuals, but I have major concerns that they are significantly overprescribed and that their side effects are severe and often ignored.
So hopefully that paused.
That's crazy.
What,
right? It's so fucking cholesterol. I mean, dude, the government's fucked up on every nutritional thing they've ever recommended to us. Carbs for breakfast. The base of a healthy diet is carbs. Who do you think paid to get that shit on there? Kellogg's, the guy's grain. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, America is known for making grain, so it would make sense. Well, yeah, we want our people to eat a shit ton of grain, strengthen our economy. I get it, but that's bullshit. It's not good for you. And then this cholesterol thing. I know that in the 80s, 90s growing up, eggs were bad, red meat's bad. I saw a post from, what's her name, Nicole Arbor or something. She's more of a political girl, pretty blonde girl. Anyway, moving forward. But she posted something and it was like, it's like, yeah, red meat, the thing we've eaten for the past 17,000 years that's helped us evolve into who we are now is the problem. And that's what's killing us. Not the 7 aisles of like barely edible cardboard that's on the shelves. And I was like, makes a lot of fucking sense, you know?
This is hilarious that you actually brought this up. Just recently, there's a city in, I think, the Netherlands that has banned ads for, guess what? Meat. You know, the fucking thing that we've been eating for centuries to survive as human beings because they're pushing a narrative. This is like asinine. So there's a city in the Netherlands, Dutch city, to ban meat ads in first in the world. Like, this shit's going to be coming to a town near you with these fucking morons in office. Like, there is not anything helpful about this at all whatsoever. That's why if I talk about carnivore diet, you hear somebody talk about carnivore diet, just eating basically animal-based products with some fruit, and you're like, oh, wow, this is kind of weird, right? Well, then remember You got to put two things together, two pieces together to understand carnivore diet. First of all, you don't need to understand dick all about carnivore diet, right? You might think you do because you're like, oh, I'm eating this every day. But in reality, you need to understand two things. What does the media do? Perpetually lie to your face. What does the media tell you to do? Eat lots of vegetables and greasy, lean shit. So if all you need to do is understand those two things. Media doesn't have any truth or the best interest of the people who watch it that's not their North Star, right? But they lie to you nonstop, and they tell you to eat plants and vegetables, and like TY was saying, and grains and all that garbage. That is literally all you need to understand, even before you dive into like understanding the health benefits of a carnivore-based diet. Those two things right there, you're like, those two things by itself should be enough weight for you to just be like, okay, cool, completely changing my lifestyle from what I was doing to a carnivore-based diet based on that. And then think about like what's with that Carnivore MD mentions about the study from 2004 in terms of cholesterol. They changed that. And like, if I have stock that I'm getting dividends in these pharmaceutical companies, and I have the capacity to change the regulations or the guidelines that are these spineless doctors just use as a reference point without, a lot of, functioning gray matter between their ears, right? They're just going to like, hey, TYL said it was okay, right? So then they're going to use these guidelines to put more people on drugs, and then they can get kickbacks from these drug companies. And the 9 people the 9 of 10 or whatever it was on the oversight board can get like a bonus or whatever. You don't think it makes sense to pay each one of those people $100,000 to lower this so that you can increase your sales by billions of dollars?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just as a random, so I sell a freaking estrogen supplement, for it's the same idea as if I was on some committee that was making the standard rules for TRT. And, I sell this shit and I'm like, yeah, guys, this estrogen super dangerous. Let's knock down those markers so that we can sell more of my supplement. It's the same idea. It's just on a bigger scale. I was listening to Joe Rogan and freaking, it's like advertisements on TV are 75% from pharmaceutical companies. 75% of the advertising on TV is pharmaceutical companies. So if you're MSN, CBS, Fox, CNN, all those companies, like your salary is being paid by the pharmaceutical company. So you're going to say whatever the fuck they want you to say. Imagine I come in and I'm like, listen, I pay your paycheck, bud. You go tell these people that. And you're like, well, I don't really want to. And you're like, okay, well, you want 25% of your paycheck this week? And you're like, yeah, I kind of got to pay bills. Well, fuck it. Let's get the jab. Everyone needs a jab. It's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, you know what? No one 300 years ago, they just killed a fucking lion. We're like, Bill, your cholesterol levels are pretty high, bud. Maybe you shouldn't be eating the lion today. You know what I'm saying?
This is pretty crazy. So I pulled this up in 2020. The pharmaceutical industry on advertising in the United States on national television. Big shift in 2020, TV ad spending of the pharma industry accounted for 75% of total ad spend. Holy shit, bro.
And they were saying that it's possibly even higher on like news channels as opposed to other channels.
Wow.
So they're putting out pharmaceuticals for shit I didn't even know people had a problem with. They have an ad for like if your eyes like stick out too far. They have some eye drops that make your eyes like, people who kind of have little buggier eyes, like it's supposed to like pull your eyes in like 0.2 millimeters or something like that. And it's like, I didn't even know that was an issue. And then it's side effects, blindness, bleeding from the eyes,
where does this lead? Like, where does this path lead as a country, right? Like if you play this out, where does this lead to? Because then when shit that actually comes out and it works, peptides are an amazing example, or supplements, right? Like the No AI or something like that, or things like that, they come out that are awesome. And then the pharmaceutical companies come after the shit that actually works. Like, at what point does the scale tip? Right, we're experiencing this same thing happening with the school system. Right, we all know the school system's effing broken. It's a joke, right? You don't learn how to live life in school, right? You don't learn how to communicate in school, right? It's a free ride to fucking dick off and be indoctrinated by people who don't give a shit about you. That's all. And what point does this scale flip, right? The school system's broken. We're all aware of that. My kids are definitely not going to school. If you have kids, your kids are, I'm sure, you're probably not going to. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to speak for you. Do you think
I don't have kids? I'm not having kids. I'm good. My dog ain't going to college. Her shit's free.
Would you, if you do have kids, would you ever have them go to school?
I wouldn't want them to, but I don't want to teach them either. I got shit.
Bro, they don't learn anything in school. If they literally just sat and watched you all day work, they would learn more shit than they do in school.
Probably. You're probably right. It's scary, man. I mean, I think eventually at some point it's going to get to the point where supplements are banned. They're going to have to be FDA regulated. So, vitamin C, vitamin D, stuff like that. I mean, there's going to, and then you have to make it so only certain companies, can afford the licenses and the testing to say that their vitamin C is 100% pure. So then you filter out. So then you have just a certain amount of bigger companies that are able to produce supplements. And then the pharmaceutical companies and the government can lean on them to pull products, take out stuff. I mean, that's essentially where I think it's going to go, in my opinion.
And I think it starts with people like us, right? Because in one sense, even though there's not a lot of people listening to this at this moment necessarily, right? There might be hundreds of people that listen to this episode. By the way, if you guys like this episode, make sure you take a second to share this out, because that's how we actually grow. We're not doing any advertising or anything like that. So if you enjoy the show, share this with somebody else or tell somebody about it. It's on all your favorite podcast platforms. But it's people like us, right? The people who are listening to this, it's like you and myself who go through and have conversations with people with opposing views and just get them to start using what God's already given them between their ears, so that they start thinking instead of regurgitating BS that doesn't require any thinking. You know what I mean? To like move forward in life.
Have you ever seen the movie Idiocracy? I know you're not big on TV, but have you ever seen that movie?
No. Did you see this comment?
I did. That's what I was laughing about. School in the morning. Send your son to school in the morning. He comes back home a woman. I would not want to try to be raising a strong, healthy young male in this world's, like, I don't even want to go down this path. I'm going to jump back to Idiocracy.
Go ahead, please. I saw that comment.
You send your kid to school. His kid's 6 years old. He's just a normal kid. He's in kindergarten, whatever. And he starts playing the little Barbie doll. And then the teacher's like, oh, shit, Billy wants to transition. Billy wants to be a little girl. And I'm like, no, he was playing with the doll. He's 6 years old. Let him do what he wants. Don't worry about his shit. He's just fine. He'll figure out his own stuff. But the movie Idiocracy, great movie. It's got Terry Crews is actually the president in Idiocracy. So it's set in the future. It's essentially the population is just a bunch of fucking morons. So the main character, I think it's Zach Braff. Maybe it could be wrong. He wakes up from like a time machine type stuff, and he's in the future, and everyone in the future is just a complete moron. And they all drink. It's like basically like Gatorade, and they feed their crops Gatorade, and all the crops are dead, so there's no food. And it's like the crops love Gatorade. That's what the crops love. And it's essentially just like everyone is just dumbed down. There's just one big company that pushes a bunch of, it's basically like if the pharmaceutical industry had like their utopia, this is what it is. A bunch of idiots taking all the exact same products, buying from one source.
Yes. And the government in their pocket, and people in school in their pocket, and the doctors in their pocket.
Yeah. Electrolytes. That's what we're saying. It's like plants love electrolytes. That's what it is. It's like Gatorade. It's like the drink. I can't remember what the drink's called, but I know you don't watch TV, but I would watch Idiocracy. It's actually pretty funny.
I'll tell my girlfriend to watch it and then tell me about it or whatever.
Read the cliff notes or something.
Yeah, well, I'll watch a trailer on YouTube on it or something like that.
But I'd say we could do another 15 minutes if you want.
Cool.
And I know I'm interested in talking about tesofensine. And I know that tesofensine, if you're a researcher, you could find it on the triggeredbrand.com. And this one's really interesting to me. And I actually want to take this. From what I've read, it's a nootropic or somewhat of a nootropic compound. And and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what my understanding is that it's a mitochondrial decoupler, similar to the same idea as DNP, where it breaks down the mitochondria and causes your body to like use energy, but it's more of like a sniper effect as opposed to a shotgun effect. Could be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
I think you're talking about BAM 15.
I thought it was tesofensine as well.
Tesofensine does have some freaking awesome effects on fat loss, right? And it's like from a nootropic and overall like health. I'm going to use the word supplement, but like guys, we're not fucking doctors here. And it is BAM 15 is like DNP, right? But it's far more targeted. It's a DNP, a mitochondrial uncoupler, right? So it's basically like keeping your car in first gear and still going 30 miles an hour. It's less efficient, so you use more gas. Basically, you burn a lot of fat. This would be a crazy stack on a tangent because I do want to get into tesofensine. But think about this: DNP or BAM 15, semaglutide, a small dose of semaglutide per week. Tesofensine, which works differently than semaglutide, daily. AOD daily as well. That is like the holy grail for fat loss on a healthier side, because you don't have like the negative effects of DNP. Well, if you're using BAM 15 on there, but tesofensine is a serotonin, dopamine, and noradrenaline reuptake inhibitor. So when we make neurotransmitters in our body, or estrogen or anything, our body like recycles that shit, right? And then it goes away. And if we reduce or clog the doorway that shit leaves our body, then serotonin, dopamine, and noradrenaline, the levels increase in our body. So tesofensine has this effect. I've been researching with it for maybe 2 weeks now, 5 days a week on and 2 days a week off. I do feel like I notice a difference. I'm taking a smaller dose. I started with I think 250 micrograms for a week or 5 days, and then I switched to 500 micrograms, which is like seems to be the most effective dose that I've seen in the literature, and I'm liking it. It does also reduce your appetite. Maybe that's another reason why I've only had one meal today, and why I was like, damn, I'm down to like 223 from 246. But I feel that I have more energy, but it's not more energy in the sense like jittery or like I took a Red Bull or something. It's more so like there's a heightened sense of awareness, I guess you could say. Just in general, there's a slight increase in your sense of well-being, like testosterone, but like a fucking like way muted compared to testosterone. I'm definitely enjoying it right now. I don't plan on stopping research for at least a while. I'm going to try it for 3 to 6 months because I've heard things related to dopamine or serotonin, because this works differently than like an SSRI. SSRI is far more like targeted or more like sniper-like, I guess you could say, because it's a drug. So this way they changed it so it's more like a drug, where this is a more mild relative to SSRIs and things like that, with serotonin selective reuptake inhibitors or whatever they're called. I'm really liking the results of it so far. And
what did the studies show about tesofensine? I mean, what is the mechanism of action? Because it sounds more of like a antidepressant, anti-anxiety, at least in that realm with the reuptake inhibition and all that. I mean, what's the mechanism of helping you lose weight? Because I need every little bit that I can.
So I think that there was a study with like 200 people. Let's see here. this one. Given its ability to increase dopamine levels, tesofensine was originally developed for the treatment of Parkinson's disease. During trials, however, a significant side effect of weight loss was consistently noted. Because the compound proved to be inferior to existing medications in the treatment of neurodegenerative disease, but nearly twice as effective in promoting weight loss as an existing compound in the market, the decision was made to pivot to weight loss trials. And basically the combination of those three neurotransmitters. Let me see if there's a section here. Okay, here we go. So how effective is tesofensine when it comes to weight loss? A phase 2B clinical trial, which is the one I think we just looked at that for
AOD, yeah.
AOD, yeah.
Like Australia again.
Yeah, and I don't remember where this was located, but there's a phase 2B clinical trial results indicate that tesofensine produces about 12.8 kilograms, 28 pounds. 28 pounds, that's a lot, of weight loss over 6 months when administered at 1 milligram dose to people who have 300 calorie deficit in their diet. So this is on a study where people were in a caloric deficit, right? But I didn't read through the study to see what the placebo is. But what they say here is, when compared to placebo, this is a 6-fold increase in weight loss.
Oh, wow.
When you compare the two of those.
Yeah, that's pretty definitive. I mean, shit.
Yeah, correct.
That's interesting.
Very
interesting that, like, in this year, a lot like semaglutide got popular, Mounjaro, which is called like Tirzepatide, or I can't remember the name, tesofensine, like all these like medicines that aren't just like straight stimulants and appetite suppressants are coming out. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I remember I've heard really good things about tesofensine. I just don't know much about it. I know semaglutide's real hot, but semaglutide's expensive. I know there's other avenues, to look for research at least. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
There was so like, what is noradrenaline, right? If we understand noradrenaline, right? Let's take.
Isn't that just adrenaline?
Noradrenaline, also known as, is a neurotransmitter hormone. It plays an important role in the body's flight or fight response. So if I was like jumped into your fucking room right now with a gun and I was like, give me all your money, and started screaming at you, it's like your levels are going to skyrocket, right? Yeah. And what happens when that happens? Your heart rate goes up, right? So there was a study where they did see a slight increase in your heart rate from this. And because your body's like at a higher, this is probably why I feel more like I have a little bit more energy, right? By utilizing or researching with this, because it plays a role in the fight or flight response kind of thing. Now, what they did notice here, there was one study, the additional evidence in men in the tesofensine arm of the study expended almost 5% more energy while they slept than in the placebo group. So think about that for a second. You have something that can help suppress your appetite, has nootropic benefits related to it, and it can actually increase your metabolic rate. So your metabolic rate, like, so if I'm just sitting here or if I'm laying in bed, I'm going to burn a certain number of calories, right? Given my size and a little bit based on your activity, but basically if I'm just resting, I burn so many calories. This increased that. So say if your total metabolic need for the day is 2,000 calories, and now 5% increase is 100 calories. So you go from 2,000 to now 2,100. And if that was your maintenance level, now you're effectively in a deficit.
Well, dude, that's burning an extra 700 calories a day or a week. And that's at 2,000. So let's be realistic. I mean, 150 calories a day times 7 days, it's 1,050 calories a day or a week. 1,050 calories extra burned a week. You times that by 52, it's 54,600 calories just from taking an extra medicine. So that's apparently 28.6 pounds or whatever the hell it is. That's pretty wild.
That's only one part of the answer too, though, because it also is suppressing the appetite. And they don't, with some of these things like BPC even, right? They don't fully understand all the mechanisms and how they work, right? So if you take what you just said, right, 54,000 calories additional burn just from the increase in the metabolic rate.
Yeah.
And we know that a pound of fat is around 3,500 calories, right? So 54,000 divided by 3,500 is 15 pounds,
Yeah.
right? So there's other mechanisms at which this works too.
Yeah.
But which is interesting. But think about this: Tesofensine stacked with AOD-9604, right? Very interesting combo. There's so many cool things that are out there that they just want to change so that they can make them patentable and then start raping people on how much they charge for this stuff.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I think we got one more question. I thought this was interesting, so we can ask. My friend's coach gets all his male clients to use progesterone cream via scrotal application. He says it is the missing link for libido and mental health. Thoughts? So here's my thought process. Without even talking about hormones and everything, if this guy found the secret, super duper secret thing to libido, I mean, do you honestly think that no one else would have picked up on this by now? I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, there's hundreds of hormone clinics. There's hundreds of doctors looking into this. There's a bunch of guys on gear. There's a bunch of guys that do stuff like this. If he found like the super magical, oh, don't worry about anything else. It's just progesterone cream on your balls. That's what no one else knows about. I think people would have figured that out by now. I mean, the internet's a big place. Information moves quick. Just my thought.
Definitely for women. I know it's very helpful for women.
You think they should put progesterone on their balls?
Well, I know that progesterone is helpful for sex drive, and like men virtually have very low levels of progesterone. Now, the other thing, Peter, so Peter Wrangler here, who asked the question, thank you for that. I mean, like that would be something that, like, in this community, like I would test. Right.
Yeah.
I would personally test this and see progesterone cream by actually putting on my cock.
I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying there's no reason it couldn't work. I'm just saying I don't think it's just like the default, like this guy found the secret and like it's, no one else knows about it yet. That's just my thought.
I don't know. I don't know enough about progesterone on men because men virtually have like no progesterone. We have like microscopic levels of progesterone relative to women. So I
mean, and libido. I mean, we're getting close to an hour, but I mean, libido is one of those things I see guys post about all the time. I've been on TRT for 6 months. I have no libido. You know what? Real quick, I'm on 250 milligrams of Sustanon that I got from England because I travel there all the time. And you know what? For the past month or so, I would say my libido has been pretty low. And you know why it's been pretty low? Because I've been fucking working my ass off and I'm tired. That's why. It's nothing to do with my testosterone levels. I'm fucking tired. So when I get done doing this, and I've been at the gym at 6 this morning and it's 7 o'clock at night and I've been working all day. First thing I'm not doing is walking out, showering, and trying to romanticize the old lady. I'm going to go eat some fucking chicken, watch some YouTube, and then probably crash out on my couch because I'm tired. TRT is not like, it's not God juice, it's people still get tired on TRT. There's bodybuilders that sleep. It's just the way it is.
Yes. No, that's a good, like the psychological thing. Like we like to talk about the chemistry, but the psychological piece, I don't think we talk about enough because there's plenty of, I mean, like, I don't know, I got up at 6 something this morning and I've been basically sitting at my desk most of the day here working. And it's 6:30 at night, and we're going to be done here. And I still have more stuff I need to do. I'm going to go eat something, and then I'm going to come back and fucking sit down and do some more shit on my computer. Peter mentions progesterone converts to allo. You want to Google that real quick? Allopregnanolone, and see what that actually is.
I don't know. Oh shit.
I don't know what that is, Peter. I'm super curious though, and I will be looking into this because I don't actually.
Oh boy, we're going down a rabbit hole. Allopregnanolone. I think it's pregnanolone, but
okay, found it on Wiki.
neuromodulator.
is a naturally
occurring neurosteroid, which is made from the body hormone progesterone as a medication referred to, sold under the brand name, used to treat postpartum depression. Interesting. Side effects: sedation, sleepiness, dry mouth, hot flashes, loss of consciousness. Interesting. It's interesting.
This is a rabbit hole that we could go down through for a whole nother episode. But this is, hey, Peter, thank you for sharing this. There's the emerging roles. So this is from 2013. The emerging roles of neurosteroids in sexual behavior and function. The abstract. This is the last thing I'll read on this. Although gonadal and adrenal steroids heavily impact sexual function at the level of the brain and the central nervous system, also produces its own steroids. De novo, that, what does de novo mean?
Shit, you got me, brother.
From the beginning,
Okay.
I guess is what it was. That may also regulate sexual behavior and reproduction. Current evidence points to important roles for neurosteroids in sexual and gender typical behavior, control of ovulation, and behaviors that strongly influence sexual interest and the motivation like aggression, anxiety, and depression. At the cellular level, neurosteroids act through stimulating rapid changes in excitability and direct activation of membrane receptors in neurons. Thus, unlike peripheral steroids, like estrogen and testosterone, neurosteroids can have an immediate and specific effect on select neuronal pathways to regulate sexual function. This came up as one of the search things related to that. So the dude might know something. I would be curious to look more into this.
I tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to get some progesterone cream. I'm going to rub it all over my lady balls. I'm going to grab my rainbow colored unicorn dildo, and I'm going to spend some quality time. I don't know where that came from. I don't know.
And you guys can find that on Pornhub. All you got to do is look for that.
Too much task. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up, guys. This is episode 39. Again, this is sponsored by the Triggered brand, so check out that for any research stuff that you're looking to do. I'm going to do a quick flex just so I can look back and just see where I'm at. So, and I'll show Sam too. I got a big old bruise. Look, Sam got to show me up. But anyway, check out all the stuff on social below in the description on any of the platforms. Once again, Triggered brand. Check out Sam and myself on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And I'll let Sam.
No, that's it. That's it. We're fucking done here. We went over all sorts of crazy shit today. If you guys like this, though, have a second. If you're still here, though, at this point, take a second and tell somebody else about Too Much Test Podcast on like the podcast platforms. That would be helpful for us. If you enjoy the show, we'll be back next Thursday live here on YouTube, and we'll have more weird and funny shit to talk about at that point. Appreciate you guys, and I will talk to you soon.